This episode is sponsored by Where to Shop and Dine. Download the app on Google Play Store or Apple App Store today. Connecting colleges and communities. Welcome back. You're watching Scene TV, and I'm Maya McNulty, your host, Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. What an exciting show we have today lined up. We have the Circle's Edge, the founder and the founding director, Imeh Smith. Imeh, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so great to see you again, and I want you to share with the audience your story and what is the Circle's Edge. So before we get so fast, let's learn a little bit about you. So tell us your story.
Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., born and raised in D.C., and I'm an only child. And growing up, I've experienced all types of, I guess being an only child anyway, you kind of feel isolation because you don't really have siblings to play with, so you always are alone a lot anyway. And then growing up, I used to hate school, and I look forward to not going to school. And by the time I got to high school and college, I hung out with all the geeks and weirdos and the people that were not the popular crowd, kind of hence how I started the name of the group. And people always said, oh, all your friends are weird except me. And I'm thinking, well, that means everyone's weird, including you. But I always hung out with people, whoever they are, whatever race, creed, sexuality, that accepted me and treated me nice, wherever they were from. But a lot of the groups I used to go to hang out with were either maybe groups for teenagers who were gay and coming of age, or Catholic groups, or other groups that had a niche. And there were no groups that didn't have any niche. So if you weren't gay or Catholic or whatever niche there was, you may not felt comfortable going there, where I felt comfortable where everyone accepted me. So literally via a debate with my mom, she was like, well, if you're so upset about bullying, why don't you start some group up yourself? Because I guess she got tired of me complaining. And that's basically what I did.
And how long ago did you start the Circle's Edge?
Oh, eons ago. 1,000 years. It was a while ago. When I was in college at Howard University in Washington, D.C., I started doing stuff there. And I used to volunteer at Gallaudet University. And I did little programs there. And I did at the Senior Center at which was always great, because if you're like stage fright and you're too shy to get on stage, you can always go to the retirement people at the rehabs, because they're never going to complain. They're just happy to have company. Yeah. So we started doing those little programs there.
Yeah, you're such a beautiful person. I want you to talk about Asperger's and how that has actually not been a handicap to you, but actually has elevated you and impacted your life to actually be able to start this nonprofit. So speak on that.
Okay, well, that's interesting, because I actually didn't officially get diagnosed with Asperger's until about 2010, when I was going to my therapist after my mom passed. And he was like, oh, everyone just thought I had ADD, but he was like, oh, you have Asperger's. And when he actually gave me some of the traits of Asperger's, I said, oh, that explains so much in life, And I never really thought of it as a hindrance. Maybe not being popular or going to the prom, but I could skip school all the time and pass my classes, which is probably not a good thing, but or I'm really good at languages and sounds and music. And so I never thought of it as a hindrance. And I guess in a sense, because there were, in my opinion, there was either dating sites or groups that had some other niche, I decided to say, I hate going to bars and a lot of the clubs. Some people are shy. They may not want to go to clubs or certain things. So I decided to say, well, I'm going to make a group where people could just sit around and talk at coffee shops, to go to geeky places like museums or enjoyable places, and not feel like you have to look like Barbie and Ken, or, try to get a date or something. Just go out and have fun. And so that's kind of how I started having activities at different programs and stuff like that.
Yeah. What has been the inspiring model mission behind the Circle's Edge for you?
I don't know. I guess, well, I saw Temple Grandin's movie way after the fact, but I thought that was very encouraging. Or a lot of times you see people who against all odds, whether Lance Armstrong, his brain tumor, getting another Tour de France, or a lot of people who, against all odds, successfully make it. So I think that inspires me, whether as a personal writer and artist or with a business. That Colonel Sanders, for example, I mean, he couldn't even keep a job, so he literally started selling fried chicken at like a little gas station job he had. And it went from that to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, so thinking out of the box. So I love the mission that you put on your website, thecirclesedge.org, right? And it's forget the in crowd, break out onto the circle's edge. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's easy to conform and try to fit in. And of course, no one wants to stand out like a sore thumb. But unfortunately, everyone can't squeeze into a certain mold. I mean, you could try, like, I know there have been times I tried to act like I was a different personality, and as much as I tried, people have said, oh, you sound so proper, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm really trying to go out my way sounding a different way, and it just kind of didn't even work. It was really interesting. As much effort as I called myself making just backfired, and some people are really not good at faking it. So if you can't fake it to be someone else, you might as well just be yourself. And
right, be authentic.
Yeah, and the best person you could be is yourself. I mean, why be someone else? And the circle's edge, I mean, so many pioneering things happen when you think out of the box and go on your own, whether it's inventions or clothes and makeup or styles or songs or music or whatever.
Yeah, how does your organization uncover these sensitive issues that people are faced with, like bullying or loneliness, rejection, isolation? How do you guys uncover those sensitive issues in your organization?
Well, usually we just kind of offering a welcoming group, an environment. So if someone comes and they're shy, we don't force them to say, tell me your problems. People usually, when they feel comfortable, they'll just start talking anyway. And then you offer them a non-judgmental listening ear, which maybe that's another trait. I usually don't become super emotional, even if they're saying something that I may personally totally disagree with. They're not talking about me. They're talking about their own personal experience in life. So I can't argue with their experience. So I just listen with a neutral ear, and they usually end up telling me their whole life story and DNA and everything else. And I usually, and so I just kind of listen to what they have to say, because whether you agree with them or not, that's still their experience. And you can't really change their personal background.
Yeah, speak on the community of I don't want to call them your tribe, or, because somehow everyone battles with some type of form of loneliness or isolation or bullying. I mean, with internet today and having the screen be at you 24/7, it's very easy to fall into that hole, in that dark rabbit hole trap.
Yes.
So how do you find your community to help you overcome these obstacles?
Well, sometimes and I've known personally myself, I've had times where I kind of become a hermit and just want to sit at home 24/7 and not answer the phones, but that's never really very good or healthy. And so doing things that are enjoyable, let's say like dancing or music therapy or enjoyable things, will usually lure someone out. Amusement parks, or, so even when I'm in a funk of I just want to sit home and be a couch potato and vegetate, sooner or later someone will say, well, let's go to an amusement park, or let's go to karaoke, and doing things that are enjoyable and getting out. You kind of almost get into a mode of, I do want to get out, because no one wants to sit home and isolate themselves. But usually you get into modes where you just don't feel like doing things, or you don't want to be bothered with people. But then when you get around people or things that are enjoyable, then you get into that mode. I want to go out and do things that are fun.
Yeah, you're breaking out onto the circle's edge.
There you go.
Speak about the education, because your community, you're educating them, you're offering them social events and art classes to help overcome some of these isolation and rejection feelings. Speak on that.
Well, I wouldn't really say art class. We did little different art shows for example, our book, where different artists kind of collaborated their works, like this poet who did really cool work. That was just his work he was demonstrating. And
go a little slower.
Oh, sorry. This is a friend of mine from Baltimore. She's a sculptor. So we did, or musicians, they would, and I'll show you, his name is Jim. He's really good. these are actually poems if you read them. It's like, then he writes the poems.
Oh, so the poem is inside.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like,
that's
they're all
really
written.
Cool. So here, you take a look. Can you see it?
And they're like all written words and all over the place.
Let me see. There was some
sculptor. Yeah, that's my friend in Baltimore. And those are my little works and artworks. And so a lot of times, and actually the page you're on,
yeah,
that picture here, that's of this book. So I put like excerpts of my own work, and then different people put excerpts of their own work. So that's one of the projects we're working on, is this art book, this collaborative art book with me and a few other artists, Aspie artists, and that's the part, and a lot of the proceeds would go to fund our nonprofit. And then like the little art shows we did, like the ones in Maryland, we would go to different coffee shops or schools or the senior centers and do shows, and more like just I guess you could call it, I don't want to say a talent show, but just little art shows. I mean, it hasn't been too elaborate yet, but you never know. I say we could get to that level.
Yeah. How are you funded?
So far, we're looking for volunteers and intern grant writers. And in fact, one of the advisors I'm working with, we're trying to write grants, but so far we're both mostly self-funded because we're still growing and we're not like a $1 billion nonprofit yet. So we're basically self-funded, but we're trying to get to a level where we can sell merchandise and books and different products to help fund our, as a revenue stream as well.
If someone wanted to get involved, how would they get involved with your organization?
Great point. We work with work-study volunteers, so if they're in school and they qualify for financial aid, then they should be able to do community work study, which I don't know, different schools pay different amounts, but they could get up to $12, $15 an hour working or volunteering 20 hours a week with our group. And then they could, as well as if they're, sometimes the school will let them do like internships with us. So like if they're a marketing major or perhaps a grant writing major or some type of major
grant writing majors, yes.
We need them. Then they could, definitely work with us. As well as people who have, like volunteer out needs for high school or the courts, like maybe they have to do so many volunteer hours for the courts or police. They could definitely fulfill them as well.
Talk about the meetups that you host to get people involved with your organization.
Yes, good fun. We have meetup.com. We have a branch in DC, which is the initial branch, and we have branches up here. And there are all types of activities. There's a lot of dancing and I love dancing. That's why I have a lot of dance groups. But we have like all types of dance groups.
Well, lead with your passion.
So we have dance groups, Zumba groups, events, karaoke events, roller coaster trips, all types of movie nights. In fact, we're going to start doing our weekly, I would say starting the first Thursday in June. We're going to have our weekly support group at 8:45 Central in Albany, as well as we have once a month our adult autism support group at 101 State Street in Schenectady. And if you look at meetup.com, our group, we have all types of different activities from going to the museums to movies to amusement parks.
Yeah, and what age is this?
Usually adults. I mean, I've seen high school students in our support group because they have so many programs for autistic kids, but usually by the time you're 18, they forget about you. So mostly like high school, college, adults. I'm probably out of high school, but I've seen some high school adults, all types of ages, because for example, at an amusement park, there's people from kids to senior citizens that like to ride roller coasters. So whoever likes to, or Zumba, or karaoke or music therapy, if you like the music, any age is welcome.
Yeah, so talk about, you have a couple different ways that volunteers can be involved. So you're one of the very first that I've ever seen do a virtual volunteer. So speak on that.
Well, there's time where virtually, like you could post, whether they would communicate once a week or more than once a week via phone conferencing or emailing, and they'll post different things. For example, if they're a virtual volunteer for marketing, they will post our events on the social networking and media, maybe posted on Craigslist or community like the community calendars to different media outlets, and then they fax over their timesheets, or I guess scan or whatever, and we'll sign it and fill it out and send it back to their advisor.
Yeah, so if transportation was an issue, that's not an issue with your organization.
Yeah.
The Circle's Edge inclusion is what you're really after.
Yeah, so like for example, if they're like a new mom, or they're housebound, or they're in school and they can't get out, then that's kind of ideal for people like that.
Yeah, how can they get in touch with the Circle's Edge, Amy?
They could call our number at 518-635-0008. That's 635-0008, or log on circlesedge.org.
Excellent, excellent. So, were you ever bullied as a child?
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't really start getting bullied until 3rd grade, but yeah, since then, yeah.
Okay, and so you formed this organization to help support people that have been bullied, or rejection or isolation. Is this correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so speak on that so that people can really connect with you and see that they could start something too to help overcome that. So don't be impacted by something that's negative, but rise above it.
Make a difference.
Yeah, so who taught you that?
In school, I really had no options. I just hated it. But as I got older, I realized initially the escape I had was just avoiding school, which is probably not the best escape. But then when I got out of school, I found different groups that accepted me. And so I guess survival, and I guess when you're in school, I know they have a lot of programs now that say bystanders make a difference, because if you're the victim, you don't have too many options. And if you're a bully, you usually have a lot of things going on in your life anyway that cause you to bully. But the problem is the victims don't have a support system, because even if, let's say, you're the biggest quote-unquote geek or weirdo, whatever, if you have a lot of friends and family, the bully is not going to mess with you because they don't want the whole entourage jumping on them. It's usually people who are by themselves, who have no support system or friends or siblings to hang out with them, that are the targets, because, well, they're easy targets. They're lone wolves. So that's usually a lot of times a problem. And trying to have programs to offer outlets for them to say, well, you can join us if you wish, can help at least relieve some loneliness and offer them some level of comfort and maybe support.
Yeah, there's definitely strength in numbers. So your organization has done that. If someone wanted to get in touch with your organization, how would they do that? 518-635-0008, or log on to our website, circlesedge.org.
Okay.
And do you have any upcoming events happening?
Well, yes, the first Wednesday of every month, we have our adult Asperger's group at 101 State Street in Schenectady, starting probably in June, the first Thursday from, look on our website. The first Thursdays of the month, every Thursday, we'll have our loneliness, bullying, isolation support group at 845 Central Avenue in Albany. It's behind the Austin's Beauty School and CVS. We have trips to everywhere from Kings Dominion and Busch Gardens, which is a little far from here. But if you like to travel, to going to just karaoke and Zumba. Actually, every Sunday we have Zumba at Colvin Avenue. It's at 24 Colvin Avenue. That's a fun class too.
Yeah. Who organizes all of these events?
Well, we have different event organizers. I'm one of them. And one thing, God, in Washington, D.C., I have about 7 or 8 other event organizers. One lady is a dance teacher, so she has all types of dance classes. Another lady has this thing called costume karaoke, which sounds lots of fun, because basically you put on costumes and you do karaoke. So that kind of takes away a little of the stage fright, because you can put on a mask. Yeah. And so you don't have to feel so shy.
You could be Superman, Spider-Man, and karaoke.
Fun. So we have
Wonder Woman.
There you go. So we have lots of event organizers to help keep the events going. So even if, thank God, if I'm not available, they'll still have events. So
yeah, great. Tell me, why are you so passionate about the Circle's Edge?
Because I personally have been a victim of isolation and loneliness and not having a support group. Mm-hmm. And, so I know there's definitely a need in society for support, as you say, strength in numbers. And outside of that, I also realized that, if you wait around for anyone else, you'll be waiting forever. So you might as well just get up and do it yourself.
Yeah. How has the Circle's Edge changed your life?
Well, it gives me lots more activities to do.
Yeah, you're busy being busy.
Basically.
So, did you author this book, The Circle's Edge? You're a nonprofit, correct?
Yes.
And if people wanted to donate, they can go right to your site, thecirclesedge.org, and donate. Absolutely. But how big is this organization that you've created?
Well, we have almost 900 members. That's on the meetup.com website between the Washington, D.C. branch and up here. And then we have a lot of people who don't log on or join meetup.com that still come out to events. And so, I mean, if you just count meetup.com, I guess maybe almost 900.
Okay, that's great. So that's definitely there's a need for what you're doing. And how is it funded?
So far it's been self-funded, and we're definitely selling things like this art book here, and we're trying to also start a little art show, so maybe going to different libraries or different places. Hopefully some of the other artists, we can do like an art exhibit show, or maybe open mic and hopefully charge admission or sell merchandise.
Yeah. And do you have any merchandise, The Circle's Edge, except the books?
Right. Well, we have like T-shirts and things like that. We do have right now on our website T-shirts, sweaters, pillowcases, all types of little things.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to make some more merchandise. In fact, here is another book I made in honor of my kitty cats, and I was gonna make cute little T-shirts and stuff called Diva Wear for them, and sell that as well.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see some of the pictures of that book. And when did you publish this book?
Oh, this is still under editing. So these are just pictures I took of animals and my cats doing all types of little silly stuff. And I was going to try to make like cute little stuffed animals or things that adults and kids can use, because if you like animals, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I like animals, so. And it's kind of like a memoir that my cat wrote, and I transcribed for them.
You transcribed for your cat.
She's at the typewriter. It's kind of hard to see the picture, but she's typing, and then Miss Cutie's in the background waiting to type.
Yeah. That's great. What a great story. I'm so delighted that I had the opportunity to sit down with you, Amy Smith, and learn about The Circle's Edge. Is there any last minute things that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
No, but you all are welcome. If they need any volunteer hours to complete for school or the courts, we definitely accept volunteers. And if they need a internship, we would be honored if they can maybe work with us. I'm sure we're always looking for interns. And work study students, if you get financial aid, you should definitely qualify for work study. I don't know how much the schools pay, because I know when I was at University of Maryland, I got $12 an hour to volunteer for the Circle's Edge. So surely, something comparable. In fact, New York State is more expensive, so they probably give you more money.
How long have you been a member of the Circle's Edge?
Well, I created it.
So forever. You're the founding director. I was actually wondering what that meant, you're the founding director. So because I know that you have a partnership with Washington. So you created the Circle's Edge, you're the founding director. And who else is on your team?
Right now we have it's just a small crew of us. One of the ladies up here, she helped. Her name is Betsy. Oh no, she's not in here. Betsy Thompson. She's one of the people. She lives in Albany. My aunt used to help a lot as well. She passed away a couple of years ago, but she helped a lot. And another aunt. So it's kind of small, like I said.
Yes, it's a family business, and you're doing really well with it. So I'm so delighted. You're just a brilliant person. Thank you so much. I got the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the Circle's Edge, and so did the audience at circlesedge.org. And you can take a look there. And if you'd like to volunteer, go ahead and click on the link, thecirclesedge.org, and you can volunteer. You can attend the meetings, so that we can combat and fight bullying and isolation. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciated it. Did you have fun?
Yes, it was great.
Yeah.
And we're both matching, by the way.
Yeah, we got the memo. So thank you so much. So no one should ever go and be lonely or isolated or feel rejected or bullied. So thank you for your mission. It's a brilliant mission, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.